Every single week I seem to tell you that the season 6 BTS is getting crazier and crazier. Well, let me tell you, when The Chosen is in Italy, where literally anybody can videotape them from literally anywhere across the city of Matera, there's a lot of really interesting things that come out. And thank you again to some people that have sent me some things from the Italy area that are over there, or at least, you know, sleuthing it out with me. I really appreciate that. We're going to look at some really interesting things today. Of course, Dallas's normal updates, which are great as well. But I also have a full image of Jonathan Rumi as Jesus in his robe and crown of thorns makeup. It's pretty intense. Let me say that for sure. Let's jump into this, and here we go. All right. But real quick before we get to that, I want to let you know that this video is sponsored by Come and See. Come and See is the nonprofit behind The Chosen that helps them to make everything work. They actually fund the entire show, and then they allow fundraising to happen kind of lagging after that. This way, The Chosen doesn't have to wait to make the next season of The Chosen. They can just continue and go to places like Italy, like they're in right now. In fact, because they're in Italy for 16 days, Come and See is doing a special offer, 16 for 16. That's $16 for 16 days of filming in Italy, and that'll come out to $256. And that donation will actually help you to unlock certain perks. For example, insider access, which allows you to see The Chosen the first day that it's on Amazon Prime, but on the Chosen app. And you might get access to some other stuff as well. Also, you get a special print that is just for those that donate this amount. Now, if you want to go above and beyond, you can donate $1,000 and you can get your name on the credits of the Crucifixion movie for season 6. This is the final 2 episodes kind of mushed into a movie that's going to feel a lot different than the rest of The Chosen. This is going to be a standalone movie that anybody can come and see and look at the crucifixion. But if you donate that $1,000, your name will be attached to it forever, and you'll be a part of the history that The Chosen is making. And I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, there's a lot of ways you can help out, whether that's $1, $5, $500, or $5 million. Depending on what you can do, Come and See could really use the help. Anyway, let's get back to the video. Go. All right.
As difficult as filmmaking is, as nervous as I can get, this is pretty awesome.
Definitely a majestic place, right? Definitely a really cool place for sure. So day 30 here, we get some behind the scenes of the camera crew. Of course, they're hiding the most important things, but I want you to listen closely. I think this is where Yanni is going to be talking here to Jesus. Actually, not yet. I think we're going to get another video with this later. But we see Gadara, we see Shmuel. We're going to have Yusuf as well as Yanni here as well. Again, just people kind of sharing how amazing Matera is. Matera, of course, is one of the oldest cities, if not the oldest. I think it's one of 3, I think maybe, of the oldest cities in Italy. And so, yeah, beautiful. Lots of ruins and just beautiful places. This is very similar to how Jerusalem looks. This is why they shoot it here, because it looks very similar to Jerusalem with that white stone. In Jerusalem, you're only allowed to build with that stone. So you can't have like a purple house or a purple building. You have to have buildings that look like this, because they want it to have a specific look. Again, Sam Jenkins kind of sharing some of his background photos here. And then another one here. Great. Now here we've got Amy Bailey playing Joanna. You can hear a little bit of Adam Drake in the background, and particularly he says the name of Claudia, which is someone who we didn't really get to see yet in the BTS for Italy, but she is there. Claudia, the wife of Pilate, is here at the crucifixion, which may seem to insinuate that she's going to be with the women and possibly help in some way. There is a theory, I believe, that she does come to Christ, like a tradition where she does come to Christ after this whole thing. So it would make sense that she's kind of moving that way if they're going to use that tradition.
Okay, let's get last looks in here on Mary Mags.
So last looks on Mary Mags. And Claudia, Joanna. He's kind of saying all the women's names here. And then it just got too windy, so I took out the sound there. She gets up and she's getting ready to go. It's got to be super hard days, though. Like, I understand it's got to be very, very difficult to kind of go through. I was going to rewind real quick. Just see over here. I don't think that's anybody I know. I was thinking it might be Simon of Cyrene, but I'm not 100% sure. All right, continue on. But of course, we're going to have Joanna at the cross. She's going to help, I'm sure, with the burial and different things like that. Another beautiful night shot of Matera here. Another beautiful area here from Rome. I know some people are traveling around. Tyler, one of the writers, is traveling around Italy. So he was in Rome here. Again, another shot of Matera. We're just seeing some of the setup here. And here's the 3 crosses without the patibulums over to the side. So I'll make that bigger for you guys. So the 3 crosses over on this side, just without the patibulum, which is the horizontal piece of the cross that goes in between. We'll talk way more about the crosses. We have way better images that are going to be coming of the crosses in just a little bit. So we'll talk about it then. Here's Atticus. I think this is our first image of Atticus in Italy as well. Atticus is on set. He's going to be there at the cross. And I think he's probably going to be the guy that says, surely this is the Son of God. I really think so. Not 100% sure, but that's what I think. Some people were saying in my last behind the scenes video, if you want to go back and look at it, there is a video that I played that had a Roman guard that seemed like he was bald and kind of hiding his face with an umbrella. Some people were saying that this might be Quintus and he might be there and they're just keeping him secret. That's a very big possibility as well. I would love to see Quintus there and be the one that says, surely this is the Son of God. I would really love to see that because I think it would be such an interesting character development for him. But yeah, we'll have to see. We continue on here. Again, showing part of the cross there. And Atticus. Here is a little bit of the fam all together. Adam Drake, of course, Akis, Constantinopolis, and we've got Amanda and Dallas, and then of course the Sam Jenkins. Just kind of saying they're all trauma bonding together in Italy. Of course, it's got to be very, very difficult. We're actually going to hear from Dallas in just a second of how difficult it actually is. Here's day 31. Again, I'm telling you, a lot of these images we're going to see today are going to be pretty intense. Of course, it's just a movie set. Remember that. But they are going to be intense for sure. So you see a lot of the blood on the cross here. And the little foot piece there to have their feet nailed in as well. Day 30 of 86. I can't believe we still have 56 days of filming left. It's actually insane to think about that. Matera.
So right now,
again. And here is a big video. I'm going to play through this whole thing to kind of show you. This is from Dallas's text feed, so you might have gotten this already if you're on that text feed from Dallas. But he shared some really interesting things here, and we get a little bit of a sneak peek that I'm not sure he meant to give us here.
I'm filming in Italy, and I just wanted to ask for your prayers. This really is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. The filming, the emotion of it, the logistics, the terrain, the language barrier, the exhaustion, it's very real. So I should just really use your prayers. We had a great live stream on Sunday night. If you haven't watched it yet, it's only up for 72 hours. So it will be down, I think, Wednesday night. So make sure you're spreading the word. Make sure you're watching episode 1 of season 5 if you haven't seen it yet. And watch the whole live stream. They've really got some lovely things in it. Some behind the scenes stories and some footage of what's happening here in Italy. I think you'll really appreciate it. But in the meantime, I could just really use your prayers. Myself, the team of us, especially us Americans who are here trying to get this done with an entire crew that we're not used to, and they speak a different language. And so I think God is just testing us and putting us at the edge. So we rely more on him and understand what maybe just a tiny taste of the suffering was. But the footage we're getting is amazing. Your prayers matter. We feel them. So just continue. I love you. Thank you.
So there's a moment here where Dallas kind of looks around and he's trying to see if he showed us anything. I'm sure that he saw this and just didn't really think it was a huge deal. But this is Jonathan on the cross. You can see he doesn't have a shirt on. Doesn't look like. It looks like he just has a loincloth. Most likely Jesus himself would have probably been naked on the cross. But of course they're not going to shoot it that way, right? And so we see here Jonathan on the cross. This is not the image I was talking about previously, by the way, about Jonathan in full costume. We actually have a close-up image of Jonathan in full costume, which I'm going to bring up in a little bit. But here we see him on the cross for the first time. Now, how they're connected to the cross, I think there's some sort of mechanism where they're either sitting on some sort of saddle, kind of underneath their loincloths, or something else. We'll kind of see some more evidence of that later. But you can see here, Dallas, during that little filming, there's a moment when he starts where he's like, oh, did I show them anything? Like right here. And you can see during that moment is where this screenshot comes from right here.
I'm filming in Italy, and I just wanted to ask for your prayers.
So right here, you can see Jesus in the background. He is the middle cross here. So we know that it is actually Jonathan. On either side of him are two more crucifixion victims, obviously, the thieves on the cross.
This really is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
And so here, Dallas kind of looks around. He's like, oh, am I showing anything?
The filming, the emotion of it, the logistics.
And I don't know if that's because Dallas was tired and he didn't mean to, or if he really loves me that much that he wanted to leave an Easter egg in there. I don't know.
The terrain, the language barrier, the exhaustion, it's very real. So I should just really use your prayers.
Yeah. Pray for Dallas. Absolutely. And it's got to be very difficult to be with basically a whole new crew. Like you've got a bunch of your people that are there. You know, you see Chris in the background there for a second. You get some of your people that are there, but a lot of them are brand new people that don't speak English that you're having to work with on a movie set with millions of dollars at stake. Like very, 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 very difficult. Right. And I don't think we give him enough credit for that for sure. So that is that part there. Definitely pray for sure for Dallas. Absolutely. We pray for Dallas all the time here in our house. Absolutely. Here's Joanna again, Amy Bailey, kind of sitting off to the side. And she said she's watching her beautiful castmates as they kind of go through these motions. There's a lot of crying to be done, especially by the women during this time as well. Here's day 32. We actually get a little bit of context for Yanni here, which is quite cool. Jumping into kind of what he's talking about here in season 6. So here's Yanni as he yells at Jesus on the cross.
You hear that? It's the deafening sound of his non-answer. He has nothing to say for himself because he knows deep down he's a liar and a fraud.
So here we see Yanni, we see Gadara, we also see Shmuel. I wonder if we're going to see Caiaphas at the cross. I don't know. I haven't really seen Caiaphas in any of the behind the scenes so far, but it would be cool to see him there. But this verse essentially comes from here, which is Matthew 27. So also the chief priests with the scribes and elders mocked him, saying, he saved others, he cannot save himself. He's the king of Israel. Let him come down from it. He's the king of Israel. Let him come down. Sorry, the purple is hard for me to read. I don't know why I put this in purple. Now from the cross, and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God deliver him now if he desires him. For he said, I am the Son of God. And the robbers who were crucified with him also reviled him in the same way. So here is the chief priests and the scribes and the elders, which Yanni is a part of them, kind of yelling at him. Yanni is kind of the embodiment of a lot of the scribes that we see. A lot of times they use him as the person that is saying the words of the scribes during some of these different moments. And so here we're seeing this again here as he yells at Jesus on the cross. Yeah, pretty intense.
He cannot save.
So he cannot save himself. It kind of cuts off there. A little bit of an interruption here from the Brosen themselves.
All right, welcome to Matera, Italy.
Matera, Italy. The Brosen has chosen Italy this season.
Yeah. So we just want to tell you hi from Italy, for one. And for two, tomorrow is a new episode from the Brosen of us.
So go check out the Brosen. We love the Brosen. Here's some images from the ladies on set. Who are we seeing so far? We're seeing Mary of Bethany right here. We see Martha of Bethany. We see Eden. We see Mary Salome, the mother of the children of thunder. And then we see Tamar. We also see John and Mary. And of course, Mother Mary is going to be there as well. And there's going to be some others that fit in there too. Joanna, possibly Claudia, possibly one of the sons of Simon of Cyrene is part of that group as well. So there's a small group of people that are here, John being the only one that's at the cross during this time. We actually haven't seen a lot of the apostles at all this season. Like, for example, Paris, I think, has only filmed maybe a few days this season out of the 30 or so days that we've done so far. And so that is an interesting piece. And then here we get a little bit of a kind of look over of what is happening here. Let me zoom in for you on this one so you can see on the bottom here, we've got some of those hammers and some different things that are being used for the crucifixion there, it looks like. These may be different tools to maybe put together these platforms. I'm not sure. But it looks like they're props for the set. That's what it looks like to me. I don't think they're actual tools. Maybe they are, but who's to say? Continue on. So here, another beautiful sunset from Matera. Get the placards here. Now here, I wanted to zoom in on this as well. This is why I was saying there, it looked like there was almost like some sort of saddle that they were sitting on for the cross. So it looks like there's some sort of piece here that connects to what looks to be like almost like a saddle where you would sit on it in order to hold your weight, because obviously they're not actually going to nail you into this cross, right? As an actor. And so I think they sit on this somehow, or they're strapped into this somehow so they don't fall off and hurt themselves. And then they have a foot pedal, obviously, to put their feet on that looks like they're nailed to the feet down there. And so they just kind of put their hands up here, and up here on the section up here, there's a little block of wood. Can you see it? It's kind of dark here. Little square block of wood. And so instead of nailing directly into the hands, what they've done here for this is they've nailed through a block of wood into the hand and then into the cross. At least that's what it looks like, right? But in actuality, they're just kind of holding their hands there and putting their fingers between the nail. So it just looks like they're nailed to the cross here. So does that make sense? Anyway, that's what we're kind of seeing in this section here. As we look through, we'll get another closer look at the cross as well without that saddle thing. So I wanted to point it out here. Here we've got a big old crane coming through to get a big sweeping shot probably. Sometimes my view is inspiring. Turn that down. So we see here a little bit more of the people that are near the cross, a lot of the Roman soldiers that are over there. We're seeing, the guys that are on the crosses without their shirts and stuff on. Yeah, it looks like we've got on the, let me zoom in here. I'm trying to look. Right here, it looks like we've got some people helping this thief on the cross either get up or down from the cross. There's a Roman soldier over here and then somebody else over here. I can't tell if they're shooting anything at the moment. Doesn't really look like it. Looks like they're just preparing to get up there or get down. Again, all the people kind of everywhere on set here. Then we got Tyler hanging out in Italy, having some fun. And then him again in the Colosseum here. Beautiful place. I would love to go to the Colosseum. It'd be so cool. You know, they used to fill up that place with water and they'd have ship battles like in that location. It's so cool. so cool. Here's another image of Atticus sitting on the hill over here overlooking Matera. Beautiful stuff. Here's a little clue from Chris for season 6, which is great. We'll go over it in a second.
Y'all, take a look at this. See that? Now read Matthew chapter 27.
All right, so he said, see that? Now read Matthew chapter 27. What he's pointing at is this rock right here. You see how this rock is split in half. Now, if we read Matthew chapter 27, we could head over there and we go to the death of Jesus over here. What happens at the death of Jesus? Well, a lot of things. There was darkness over the land until the 9th hour. About the 9th hour, Jesus cried. with a loud voice saying, Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani. This is my God, why have you forsaken me? And some of the bystanders hearing it said, this man is calling Elijah. And some of them ran and took a sponge, filled it with sour wine, and put it on a reed and gave it him to drink. But the others said, wait, let us see whether Elijah will come to save him. And Jesus cried out again with a loud voice and yielded up his spirit. And behold, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom, and the earth shook and the rocks were split. The tombs were opened, and many bodies of the saints who were fallen asleep were raised. So here is this section here where we've talked previously a lot before about possibly Rama coming back, but specifically here, the clue that Chris is giving us is that the earth shook and the rocks were split specifically. So yeah, cool moment there. Thanks, Chris, for that one. Thanks for the assist. Appreciate you on that one.
See that? Now read Matthew chapter 27.
Beautiful, beautiful shot of Montera at night. Here's a Dallas and Amanda on their anniversary, I think. There they are. Yeah, very beautiful. I mean, amazing date location for sure. Day 34.
I don't know if you can move.
Looking down at the platform once again, we have a nail, specifically a bloody nail used for crucifixion here. And yeah, that is about the size of the nails that were used. They look very similar to that. Remember, these nails would have to go through several pieces of wood as well as bone and flesh. So they are pretty hefty nails. It's not this little tiny sort of like, let me go hang up a picture sort of nail. This would be a pretty massive nail that would be used. Absolutely. So, but they would have that kind of top edge there would be very common as well. And then of course, this is a used one that's like that. I've showed you guys before, but actually in Caiaphas's ossuary box, for some reason near Caiaphas or in his box was the heel of a Jewish crucifixion victim. And in the heel of that victim was a nail, kind of showing that most likely they didn't actually crucify people with their feet like this and nailed together. Most likely their feet were on the side of each post and the nail came through the side into the main beam of the cross. That's how the nail was in the victim that we see for Joseph ben Caiaphas, Caiaphas's ossuary box, which is interesting. So they're Italy at dusk. We're seeing a bunch of different people. Real quick, you can see a little bit of a glimpse of one of the thieves right here, who is not wearing a shirt, and he's got like this loincloth on. You can kind of see that there. If I scroll up a little bit, right here, so you can kind of see his legs there with the loincloth, and he's wearing some slippers at the moment. He's one of the thieves on the cross, I believe. And of course, this angle here is trying to get us not to see anything that's actually going on, but to give us a gist of the space here, which is interesting. Big boom here as well. A bunch of people speaking Italian. And then here is a closer look at the cross itself as well. This is Jesus's cross. At the very top, it says Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. And so we see that in a few different languages. We see it in Latin, we see it in Aramaic, and we see it in Greek as well. Now, the Aramaic, I tried to translate this and show the Aramaic. This is some sort of amalgamation of Aramaic and Aramaic and Hebrew. It doesn't have a lot of the like accent marks and things like that the Aramaic would have. And so it's a little bit weird. Even some of the translation things that I tried to do with AI and different things like that basically came back and said, hey, this is a false version of Aramaic that doesn't really make sense. But the Latin makes sense and the Greek makes sense. I wonder why they didn't have like an accurate version of Aramaic. Again, I can't verify that because I don't speak Aramaic or read it, but just through the systems that I use there. But you can see here what I was talking about in terms of like the little wooden piece that's right here for your hands. This is where they put their hands to like hang on to the cross there. Then there's some sort of thing in the middle here. This is holding their body weight. And I think that has to do with the saddle that we saw earlier, where they're either sitting on it or there's some sort of contraption to have them have their body weight, you know, hung up on the beam rather than them holding themselves up and actually literally dying. Obviously we don't want that. And then on the bottom, there's this little foot peg as well to kind of hold on. But this is the cross of Jesus that will be in the show. For sure. Let me see here some ladies as they're leaving, Eden and Mary, as they're leaving the set, and they're laughing a little bit. I'm sure they need that kind of levity in this show. It's got to be very difficult, very, very difficult for sure. Continuing on, we see another angle of Jesus's cross here, looking over Matera. A bunch of implements, including hammers and different bags and things over to the side over here, like we saw earlier. And then we see the ladies here overlooking Jesus's cross. This is the first time we actually see Claudia in some behind the scenes. And so we see her right here. Claudia over here next to Joanna and Claudia. And then we've got Mother Mary, Tamar, I believe Mary Magdalene here. It's hard to say with the flare. Then Mary and Martha right here. So these are the women that we see kind of in the main section here as we look over. Here's another one of the women. This one is from Amy, I think, as well. It says, we have to cry and sob really a lot for this episode. In between takes, we hold each other and stay connected. It's a way to calm our nervous systems and also to be ready to get tears flowing take after take after take. Cheers to you, my castmates. I love you. So they've got to be forming a pretty intense bond, I think, here as well, as they're kind of talking through all of this. We see Dallas in the background giving some direction to some people as well. And then we see John next to them too, as they're getting ready to shoot some more stuff. Here, I think this is Tyler who posted this one. And you can see like that he's in a cafe in Matera, and then right across the way is the film set. So you see that right there. That's the whole film set with all the cars and everything and the three crosses as he kind of looks over. Now, here is where we get to the piece de resistance of the behind the scenes this week. Number one, the first clue you're going to get is the bottom right here. We get Jesus's crown of thorns. Now, what are we looking at here? What is this? I am relatively sure that this is the dash cam of a taxi cab, okay? This is a random taxi cab in Italy, in Matera, that is dropping someone off on the set, and somehow this footage turned up online, okay? This is some random dash cam footage, but we're gonna check it out, okay? So we see the crown of thorns over there to the right. We see a bunch of extras lined up against the wall here. We can verify this is the same set that we saw previously because this is the same wall that we saw there with the same design and everything. It's the same thing that we saw before. And then now we see this moment right here. Just wait for it. Wait for it. Did you catch it? Did you see it? And there's the crown of thorns right behind him as all of the costume and makeup people are following him through. I believe we've got, here's some of the makeup people. And then we also have, here's the car moving. You can kind of see the car moving now. And then here is Leila, I think her name is, and she's the main costumer person. But here is Jonathan in his full get up here. Obviously he's not acting at the moment, but you can see how he's dressed. Number one, we see obviously his eye is swollen shut here. This is makeup. This is prosthetics. It's not actually real, right? We see a lot of blood around his head for the crown of thorns, as well as his hands. And his whole body here. You also see the robe itself, which is the robe that they put on him to mock him, being the king of the Jews. Very interesting here. Very, very interesting. I won't put it on this too much. If you want to pause, you can watch it. I know some people are going to have issues kind of walking through that, but you see Jonathan here, at least he's in good spirits, right? As he's going through and having to do this day after day after day. It's got to be very, very difficult for sure. And then here is another angle of Jesus on the cross. Again, these are like you could see these random people that are on this roof over here. Like, there's just like a bunch of people over here that are on the roof, and people like in the city, that can just like see this set, right? That are just there. And so, yeah, you can see Jesus again there on the cross as we zoom in on this one. We see the 3 crosses all together with the placards on top, and then Jonathan in the middle there as they're shooting only him right now. And you see a bunch of the women all gathered together, a lot of them in black, actually, a lot of the other people in black, not the women. We see these are probably mostly Pharisees, would be my guess, because they're not turning up like it's a funeral. So unlike Lazarus that we saw earlier in season 4, but yeah, I think these are probably mostly religious leaders, and then the women are probably closer to the front with John and different people there. And we've got Jesus on the cross there. Yeah, pretty intense for sure. Continue on, we get a little bit more of a close up there. And then here is Jonathan with someone that was in Italy here, and just taking a fan photo here. You can see he's lost a lot of weight too, for sure. We saw him in an interview video with Chris. You can definitely see, like especially like around his neck area, like he's definitely fitter, like he's toner maybe. Maybe that's the whole point of him trying to get like really ripped and like fit for this role when he's on the cross, because he's going to be shirtless for, months trying to film this. And so we see him here. He's definitely skinnier around the neck for sure. But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of work behind the scenes to do that for sure. Here's another angle of them, kind of behind them as everybody's kind of getting into position. Here's another one here. I'll play a little bit of a small video in a second here to show you, kind of how they get into position, which you can see a little bit more of. So here's a little bit of the different places around Matera. And then if you look closely here, you see they're kind of sitting on that saddle that I talked about earlier. I'll make it big so you guys can see. They're sitting on that saddle that I talked about earlier, and then you can see them kind of lift up their hands and get into position to shoot a shot here. So you see their hands coming up. They're all getting into position. Jonathan getting into position, fixing his kind of saddle there. Move it down. And then he kind of reaches out to grab into position. This person's camera movement is intense. But yeah, that's that there. All right. Continuing on. I think I have one more thing, or is that it? Yep, I think that's it. All right, that is it for that behind the scenes. Like I said, it's intense this week. I hope you're ready for that. I'll definitely put a spoiler at the beginning of this video, like not a spoiler, a warning at the beginning of this video in order to talk about it. Someone's asking what was Jonathan holding in his hand. I think it was just part of his costume, maybe a belt or something like that he was supposed to have around him or near him. Or it just could be a bag that he's carrying his stuff in. I'm not sure. But yeah, really, really interesting. Hope you enjoyed that. As always, we are super sleuths. If you find anything online, let me know about it. You can email me in the description down below or message me on Instagram, anything like that. But appreciate you guys a ton. We've got a ton to look into as we have 50-ish more days of filming left, which is crazy to think about. That's a long time. A lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of fun to be had. So keep sleuthing, don't stop, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.